playing games. I don't wanna be the same like I used to be. No, no, no. I'ma change my life. I'ma do things right. Starting today, I'ma live a different way. When it's hard, it gets hard sometimes. Faithful like it is. Feels so right. I'ma do my best. I'ma do my best to keep the commandment. To keep the commandment.
Now, as for the second question, who are the parties involved in this new agreement, that also was given to us in Jeremiah 31, wherein we find, it reads, I shall make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah. So, the parties involved in this agreement are three. Yah, the house of Israel, and the house of Yehudah. Remember when the two tribes split, that's the reason for Scripture addressing them as two separate nations at that time, because we had the northern kingdom who split off from the southern kingdom, which was Yehudah, Benjamin, and the Levites formed the southern house, the house of Yehudah, and the remaining tribes formed the house of Israel, the northern tribes. Now, for our third question, when shall it take effect? At the time of Jeremiah's writing, as we noticed within the tense of the scripture there, this was something that was to be in the future, as it said, the days are coming, I shall, says Yah. So this was, at the time of Jeremiah's day, this was something to be fulfilled in the future. And of course, the Christians tells us that this has already been fulfilled at the Messiah's coming, right? So according to them, the new covenant is already established. However, when we look within Hebrews, and that is Hebrews 8, chapter 8, at verse 13, we find, by calling this covenant new, he has made the first one obsolete. And what is obsolete and outdated will soon disappear. Okay, so we have one of the brothers here saying that it will soon disappear. He has not said that it has come. Now, that's just one hint that this new covenant will be future. Now, the other reason, which I think is more profound, also we can find in Jeremiah, what it tells us, not the date, of course, but it tells us what we can expect when this new covenant is binding. And again, we go back to Jeremiah 31, chapter 31, and specifically with, let's see here, verse 33. Okay? And it says, I shall put my Torah in their inward parts and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. First, now Yah says that he will this covenant will be written, or his Torah will be written in our hearts, right? Now, in order for this new covenant to already be in effect, that would mean the Torah is now being written in the hearts of us who are part of this new agreement. Now, of course, Christians will tell you, oh yes, the law is written in my heart, but then they go out and then within a few minutes and they'll violate the laws of Yah. Let alone, they don't even know, most of them have not been taught truly what the Torah is. I wasn't taught. I'm sure you wasn't taught. We've taught the 10 Commandments, and they will observe all those 10, they observe 9 out of the 10 Commandments, because they'll say that yes, all of the 9 commandments are, still in effect, except for number 4, honoring the Sabbath. So most of them will tell you that 9 out of the 10 commandments, but of course that is not the whole of Yah's Torah. So the fact alone that his Torah is still not written in our hearts nor in our minds is proof that the new covenant has not been established amongst Yah's people. All right? And also further along in that verse it says, and no longer shall they teach each one his neighbor and each one his brother, saying, Know Yah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them to the greatest of them. Now, we do not personally know Yah. We have read of Yah. We do not have a personal relationship with Yah. We still have a need to teach and learn from one another. That is still true. Another proof that the new covenant has not yet been established, folks. And one other thing I wish to explicitly mention, which I didn't in question 2 when I spoke of the parties involved. Of course, again, the Christians, the Christian leadership has told me and taught me that the new covenant was between Yah and the church, right? And in there, I showed you from scripture that it says the new covenant will be between Yah and the 2 houses of Israel, right? Not the church. So they will tell you that it's the church, but Yah tells you that his new covenant shall be between him and the 2 houses of Israel. Said absolutely nothing about the church. Again, this is something they just concocted out of their own minds, and they told us, and because we were not being diligent in our studies, we believed them and did not search these things out in the scripture to prove whether what the things that the Christian leadership told us were true or not. And that is something that I'm hoping to address and correct today, brothers and sisters, with you, as well as I am becoming more diligent myself in studying and learning these things and rejecting these lies that I have been told all over the years. Now, the second most common objection I've heard is that the church, the Christian church, has replaced Israel, and this is not a requirement for the Christian church. Now, of course, Yah has not chosen a new set of people. The church has not replaced Israel. The church in its body of believers is supposed to join Israel, learn from Israel, in essence become Israelites. And for those who hold that position, I will answer you from scripture in Romans chapter 11, verse 1 through 2. I say then, has Elohim rejected his people? Let it not be, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Elohim has not rejected his people whom he knew beforehand. And also in Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 24, it reads, Have you not observed what these people have spoken, saying the 2 clans which Yah has chosen have been rejected by him? So they have despised my people, no more to be a nation before them. Thus said Yah, if my covenant is not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the laws of the heavens and earth, then I would also reject the descendants of Jacob and David, my servant. And lastly, we have that these days were for the Jews only and not the church. Now, actually, that is a half-truth, if you will. Yes, it is true that these feast days were originally commanded by Yah to be observed by his people forever. But that alone is why we, as Hebrew Israelites, should continue to observe these days. Nevertheless, Yah does not have 2 sets of people. Neither does he have 2 sets of laws. In Exodus chapter 12, verse 49, we find, There is one law for the native born and for the stranger who sojourns among you. And in Leviticus chapter 24, verse 22, You are to have one manner of law for the stranger and for the native, for I am Yah, your Elohim. And in Numbers chapter 15, verse 14 through 16, One law is for you of the congregation and for the stranger who sojourns with you, a law forever throughout your generations. As you are, so is the stranger before Yah. One Torah and one manner of law is for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you. and also in Isaiah chapter 56, verse 3 through 22, summarized. And let not the son of the foreigner who has joined himself to Yah speak, saying, Yah has certainly separated me from his people. Also the sons of the foreigner who joined themselves to Yah to serve him, and to love the name of Yah to be his servants. Them I shall bring to my holy mountain, and let them rejoice in my house of prayer. For my house is called a house of prayer for all the peoples. And in Galatians chapter 3, verse 28, there is not Jew nor Gentile, there is not servant nor free, there is not male nor female, for you are all one in Messiah, Yeshua. Now lastly, I'd like to add that our observance of these days also demonstrates our submittal and love towards Yah and Yeshua. And that is proven through scripture in John chapter 15, verse 10. If you keep my commands, you shall stay in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commands and stay in his love. And in 2 John chapter 1, verse 6, we read, and this is the love, that we walk according to his commands. This is the command that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. And John chapter 14, verse 15, by this we know that we love the children of Elohim, when we love Elohim and keep his commands. For this is the love for Elohim, that we keep his commands, and his commands are not heavy. My apologies, that was actually 1 John chapter 5, verse 2 through 3 that I just read. Now this is a verse from John chapter 14, verse 15. If you love me, you shall keep my commands. And not only now we commanded to keep these days, but their prophetic implications alone should be well worth their observance by us. And one very important thing I want you to take note of, and I will hash this out as we go through this lesson, is that Yah fulfilled these symbolic events on the very day that they were to be observed by the children of Israel. So the observation of these days helps to keep us watchful of his return with great anticipation. Therefore, it's essential, brothers and sisters, that we remain watchful, because he shall once again do the same in fulfillment of the final 3 feast days. They shall be fulfilled on the day in which we were commanded to keep these observances. In Matthew chapter 24, verse 32 to 33, and it reads, and learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and put forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near, even at the doors. And in Malachi chapter 3, verse 6, for I am Yah, I shall not change.